How long it should take you, I don't really know. Is it difficult? Everything's difficult, nothing's easy. You have to imagine that, right? And keep that in mind. But 100 grand's not what it used to be 10 years ago or even 20 years ago, right? And they've been printing money like there's no tomorrow. So 100 grand is easier to make than it was way before, right? And the day and age we live in, we've never had it better. Because of the internet, you can make loads of money sitting somewhere, doing something, side hustle, whatever. Right, you know what I always say? Usually people ask me about how hard is it to make the first million and what's great about it and what's not so good about it and blah, 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 blah. Right, guys, please like and subscribe if you're here for the first time. You liking this video will really help us out. When you're trying to make your first million or your first 100,000, it's hard as hell. You know why it's hard as hell? Because you're still worrying about your bills. You're still worrying about, okay, if this goes wrong, I'm on the street and that kind of stuff. Let me give you an example. Say that there's two guys, right? And one guy has to make $1 million and he doesn't live with a wealthy family. So now he's got to pay for his rent and his living, right? You understand that, right? And if he's got people who depend on him, like a family, he's got to pay for them as well, right? Now imagine you're a younger guy, right? And your family's wealthy, right? Your family's not throwing you out, are they? You don't need to pay for a house. You don't need to probably pay for food. And you've got no worries in the sense of you've got 30 grand to your name. You're going to risk it on your business. If it goes wrong, what happens? In the first scenario, you can't pay your rent and you can't feed yourself, right? So you've got all of that stress. In the second scenario, you've lost 30 grand. Well, in this one, you've lost 30 grand as well. But in this one, you've lost 30 grand, but you're still living with your family or whoever the wealthy people are, and you're still eating food. And you know what? You're going to start again. So making your own 100 grand when you've got other stresses on you is probably the hardest thing you can do. How should you make it? If you've got a job, keep doing that job, get better skill at it. You're an electrician, you work for an electrical company. I'm going to do this because we actually helped a guy out a long time ago with this in real life, so that's why I'll be able to base it off that. So you're an electrician, you work for somebody and they pay you whatever they pay you, right? Now you have two options, right? You work your 40 hours a week and you go home and you watch the matches and you go out with your buddies and you do all of that, right? Or you finish your 40 hours at where your boss pays you, and then in your spare time you start doing contracting work for other electrical people, or you start putting your name out there and you're like, if you've got a light switch to change or you got some AC to fit or anything to do with electricity, phone me up. And all you do is you keep on making money until you can make enough where what you were making in your job is less than what you're making on your side hustle or your side income or your evening income. Then you can leave your job and just grow that full time. And you know what? If you do any business right these days, right, you can make 100 grand a year. The hard part is putting processes in to keep on making 100 grand a year when you leave that business, because that's when you're truly a business, an employer, a business owner. You know what it is? Usually when you've got a business and you work in it yourself, it's just a sole trader or a self-employment or whatever you want to call it. You are running a business, but there's only you, right? And you know what happens if you stop? The money goes shabing. But if you're an electrician and you're making money, it was going well, you got another guy in, and now you've got him doing your contract jobs, and you're doing some and you're on the phone more, and then you've got another guy come in and they're doing the jobs and you're on the phone more. You're still overseeing them, you're still doing some jobs, like the better ones. The boss is always like to go and do them themselves. Then you get another guy. Imagine you got 5 electricians. Now you're on the phone most of the time and collecting the money and just sorting the jobs out and getting jobs in. Then what you do is you go and get a secretary to handle the calls and taking the money, payments via card, blah, 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 right? Or deposits, etc. So now you've got 5 guys and one, secretary, male or female or whatever, and they're doing the payments. Then next, right, you can be taking a little bit off those electricians, which means you're kind of doing a lot less hours and you're still making the same money as when you were doing 100% of the hours yourself. Next, you go and find a sales guy and you take a cut in your pay again, and you say to him, right, go out there and get us loads more work. And then when he gets you more work, you can hire another 5 guys. Now you've got 10 electricians, 1 secretary, 1 guy who brings in all the sales. Now you've got a business. Now you've got a slightly passive income. And there's loads of people that say, passive income this, passive income that. Passive incomes don't really exist. You'll always have to do something. I hope that answered your question in one way or another. I know I went around it the long way, but I tried to give you the most in-depth answer I could. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Don't die average.